The Niners have locked up the 3 seed playoffs. They're in. 3 more games. All they can achieve. Well, they might be able to get that number 1 seed, but that would take a lot. They could definitely get that number 2 seed. Should that be their goal? Should they strive for the number 2 seed, at all costs?
For the next 2 weeks, yeah, that's got to be their pretty much almost like a priority. Because obviously we know they have the next 2 weeks, the Commanders in a few days, and they got the Raiders on New Year's Day. Those 2 are going to be wins off top easily. I'm not even going to blink at those. Those are going to be wins for the 49ers. Now the Vikings, on the other hand, they could probably suffer a loss along the lines like they got the Giants and the Packers. I think they can go 1-1 in one of those games, if not maybe 0-2. I think they're going to split one of those games for sure, which at that point is going to all of a sudden create a dramatic season finale of Vikings, Bears, and Niners, Cardinals. But say the Vikings win out, then I think if you're the 49ers, you're going to that week 18 season finale game against, Cardinals, who are pretty much just just the replacements from the movie, and just pretty much chalking it up as just like, you know what, this is a game where we're just going to rest 8 of our starters and not worry about it. Because if it comes to that point where we got to win the final one, I don't think it is worth it, because what's the difference between number 2 and number 3? You got to go on the road to play the Vikings on the dome. That's not a home field advantage. You don't got to worry about that. So I think if the Vikings split in the next 2 weeks, any of the next 2 games, you definitely compete to the end. But if you're both going neck and neck, it's not that serious, because the worst thing, you got a small travel to a dome team that you can destroy because they're soft. I don't think it's that much pressing need at that point.
Well, I think Kyle Shanahan already tipped his hand that the Niners are going to be striving for the 2 seed. I mean, I think most conventional wisdom would say heal up, rest up, be ready for the playoffs. And he talked a whole lot about it. He's like, I think that's the wrong approach in the NFL. I think a lot of teams that do that usually have quick exits in the playoffs because they're rusty. So I don't think they're going to take that approach, and that's fine. I think they can play hard and win the next 3 games, but there are certain things they can dial back on while still putting the pedal to the metal, like how they've been using Christian McCaffrey.
Yep, 1,000%.
I get it. I get it in Seattle when you're not taking that game for granted and you just want to clinch the division. Fine, whatever. No, stop with the 30 touches a game or whatever. You need to not do that anymore. Because, look, you got Trey Lance hurt running between the tackles. It was obviously your fault. We called you out. A lot of people had your back. You got Deebo Samuel hurt playing running back. We called you out. A lot of people had your back. It was obviously your fault. Dude, don't do it again. Don't get Christian McCaffrey injured before the playoffs start when you already locked up the number 3 seed. That would be so dumb. And yeah, a lot of people would have your back, but not me and Jose, because we see through that.
And Grant, to add to the points that I think we're pretty much similar on. Look, I'll give him, okay, fine. I get it why he did it, even though I disagree that against Seattle, you had the division online. I get why you ran him to the ground, all that stuff. Do you need to do that against the Commanders, the Raiders,
Hell no.
the Cardinals,
Hell
and
no.
one?
You can win without doing that.
I'm
not saying give games away, but you can win without doing that. Yes.
Just to host the game against the Vikings, just for that, against the Vikings. Is it that much of a big deal to host a game against the Vikings? Come on. Sure for them, which also, I thought about this the other day too, earlier in the week, is, man, of all the times that the 49ers under Kyle Shanahan have been in the playoffs, they have literally been guns a-blazing, storming to the playoffs, because they've clinched the division in the playoffs, the final game of the season. This time, it's like, well, we got all this time. What the hell do we do now? And it's almost like, so I understand what he's talking about, because so many teams we're going to rest our starters, and they come out and they get, clotheslined in the first round. So yep. I get why he might be like, we got to play it, dude, because, momentum matters, especially when we got to buy. But again, this is where, context matters. And the same thing about what you just said is, all right, cool. You could still play them, but just don't put them too many compromises. Don't act like it's a must-win game for these games. Play them. And then dictating on where the momentum of the game's going, just don't play that huge risk factor with McCaffrey 1,000 times into these players.
Don't overplay them, but at the same time, don't get cute. Brock Purdy needs these reps. You can't just all of a sudden sit a bunch of starters and just throw away games. But at the same time, you don't have to. I don't understand. I mean, I do understand, but the way they've been overusing Christian McCaffrey, they've gotten real lucky that he just has knee irritation at this point. They need to be damn careful. But
I think the biggest ones that they actually did overuse them was just without Deebo being there. Obviously the Rams one necessary. I felt it. Season was on the line against Seattle. That one, okay, I get it, but I'll push back more on that one just because, like, we've seen Jordan Mason. He's proven he can be efficient. Why not just give him a little, like, 5 more touches in the middle of the game? But whatever, I get it. He can use the excuse. Well, I was gonna go ride or die with the guy we traded all these picks for, paying him in a big time game, prime time. Okay, fine.
Right.
But now the rest of the week, rest of the season, I don't want to see none of that because there's nothing on your side that dictates why you need it. Or maybe he's gonna flip it on us and be like, I wanted to get the number 2 seed. Like, is it really that serious? Come on. I think the Niners can go into Minnesota and put a beat down on them.
Here's the thing that makes it complicated. Yes, they can go into Minnesota and win. But then what do you do after that? Do you stay out east? Do you come back? Does that make it more difficult to win in Philly the next week if you have to? Like, the travel adds up. And frankly, as I don't have to play football, but I have to do that travel too, and I'm already tired. Thinking about going to Minnesota is hella freaking cold. Coming back, going to Philly, hella freaking cold. Like,
yeah, where is that? 3? Minnesota?
Flight to Minnesota, 4. It's a cool 4.
Oh, wow, it's 4. Okay.
Yeah, It's a cool 4 hours. It's like it's almost going to Chicago. It's not, and it's cold as hell.
Right.
It's like negative degrees when you get off the plane. So I don't know. It'd be better to get that 2 seed if they can. And I think what's good about the Niners is they can strive for the 2 seed and get it without doing anything irresponsible. That's it. Just don't do anything irresponsible. Win the next 3 games. It's not that hard. Come on. Washington's going to score 9 points this week. 9.
Yeah.
Tops. Come on. What are we talking about here?
Maybe a couple more garbage points.